the West reeled from the terrifying discovery of Russia's secret nuclear expansion, the final and most feared piece of the global puzzle clicked into place. In a meticulously coordinated announcement from Beijing, the Chinese government declared its unequivocal and comprehensive strategic support for the Russian Federation, a move that shattered any remaining hope of isolating Moscow and effectively drew the battle lines for a new global Cold War. The declaration was not delivered through a low-level spokesperson, but in a joint statement attributed directly to the highest level of leadership in both Beijing and Moscow. A clear signal that this was an ironclad alliance. The move was a strategic masterstroke, timed perfectly to exploit the West's shock and indecision, and it fundamentally altered the balance of power, turning the war in Ukraine into a direct proxy confrontation between a US-led alliance and a formidable new Eurasian bloc. The Chinese backing was multifaceted, addressing Russia's diplomatic, economic, and military vulnerabilities. Diplomatically, Beijing's foreign ministry launched a global campaign to champion the Russian narrative. Chinese diplomats at the United Nations and in capitals around the world condemned the United States and Nato as the true instigator of the conflict, citing decades of eastward expansion as a direct threat to Russia's security. They called for an end to Cold War mentalities and bloc politics, while simultaneously any attempt in the UN Security Council to condemn the Russian offensive. This provided Moscow with a powerful diplomatic shield, preventing its complete isolation on the world stage and giving other non-aligned nations political cover to resist Western pressure. The most critical component of the support was economic. Beijing announced a no-limit strategic economic partnership designed specifically to counteract the sledgehammer sanction being prepared in Washington and Europe. The plan, which intelligence sources suggested had been in the works for months, created a comprehensive lifeline for the Russian economy. China committed to dramatically increasing its purchase of Russian oil and natural gas, paying for it in yuan and rubles, thereby bypassing the US dollar and insulating the trade from Western financial sanctions. Furthermore, Chinese state-owned banks began extending massive lines of credit to Russian corporations, allowing them to continue operating. Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent's plans to cripple Russia's economy were instantly and severely undermined. At the same time, Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick's efforts to restrict Russian access to high technology were rendered almost moot, as China opened the floodgate for the export of its own semiconductors, drone components, and advanced manufacturing equipment to Russia, ensuring that Russia's war machine could continue to be supplied. Militarily, the support was more opaque, but no less significant. While stopping short of announcing direct shipments of lethal aid, the joint statement spoke of deepening military technical cooperation and intelligence sharing. To the Pentagon, the meaning was clear. Secretary of Defense Peter Hegseth and his staff assessed that China would now provide Russia with critical satellite intelligence on Ukrainian and NATO force movement. To underscore their new joint military posture, China and Russia announced they would hold immediate, large-scale joint naval exercise in the Sea of Japan and the Western Pacific. This move was a strategic pincer, forcing the United States to divide its military attention and resources between the crisis in Europe and a new heightened threat in Asia. For President Donald Trump, the China-Russia pact was the ultimate challenge. The crisis he faced was no longer just a European war. It was a coordinated global assault on American leadership. Every tool his administration was preparing to use against Russia was now blunted. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's efforts to build a global coalition were checkmated by Chinese diplomacy. The economic weapon designed by Secretary Bessent was diffused by China's massive economy. The military option prepared by Secretary Hegseth were now fraught with the risk of a two-front global conflict against a pair of allied nuclear-armed superpower. The world had irrevocably changed. The Russian offensive in Ukraine had served as the trigger for a new, starkly divided world order, leaving the United States and its allies facing a unified and defiant axis of power that stretched from the Baltic Sea to the South China Sea. Many of my listeners, like 70%, have subscribed to my YouTube channel. And so many of you don't even know that you haven't subscribed. And that is actually what makes the show going. It's almost like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask again and again, because it enables us to grow and grow and grow. And we're going for the long haul here. And listen, if this is your first time listening to Sok Hain Rich, you don't have to subscribe. You guys, your first one's on me. But if you haven't watched this show before, it's like you are a freeloader now. So all I would ask you is, if you haven't seen this show before and you like it, help me, help my team here. Hit that subscribe and like button now. And we will continue to build the show for you. That I swear. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. That's all for me for today. I will see you soon. Bye for now.